Hey everyone, today I'm going to be taking a look at the cordless 20 volt max compact rotor from DeWalt, as well as the optional plunge base accessory. And I'll be giving you a bit of an overview of both tools and provide my thoughts. I guess it's a little bit of a review, but we'll try to keep it short and show you a little bit of how they work. I've had this router for probably a little over a year, and it's really my go-to router when I don't need the horsepower of my larger Bosch. And the plunge base I actually just got a few weeks ago and finally unboxed earlier today. Hasn't seen much use, so let's take a look and see how they work together. Okay, so let's get this kicked off by first taking a look at the router itself. So if you buy the DCW600B, you're going to get the bare tool, and that essentially is the router with the fixed base installed, the wrench to put in your router bits and remove them, and the instruction manual, and that's it. So pretty basic, but really the only other thing that you need in order to get going is a battery. And so if you're already in the DeWalt system, then you'll be good to go. So it's a very compact router compared to some of the beefier counterparts, of course, but when it does come to trim routers, this is pretty large. And when you put a 5 amp hour battery on top, it can definitely weigh a little bit, but it does bring a nice sense of quality. It's got this really nice rubber over molding and really genuinely comfortable to use. So the motor itself is rated at 16,000 to 25,500 RPMs. And with the 20 volt system, 20 volt max that is, so comparable to 18 volt. On other platforms, it's pretty powerful. And I haven't really run into anything that uses a 1/4 inch bit that this can't really handle. So, so far I love it. It does have this nice acrylic base, so you can see through it. You can see your workpiece, and you can also see in very well. You can hold on to that and move it along nicely. It does have some little attachments to add accessories, but really the most of the accessories are going to be added to the plunge base itself. So it does have some nice fine adjustment that I'll show in a moment, but for now, let's take this out. So you just simply unlatch this, then gotta unlatch that too. And the motor will slide right out. So again, if you just see, like, the motor's pretty big in this thing, and definitely a little bit of a surprise compared to other trim routers. So let's get the 1/4 inch bit in. So let's put it in all the way and then back it out just a little bit, and hold down on the lock, hand tight, and then just crank it down just a little bit. Okay, so very easy to get it in. I mean, no more difficult than what you'd experience on any other router. And then we can install the motor. And as long as that's open, like, this is just so easy to put in. Close that. We can spin this down, so then that can allow us to do some of the fine adjustment. It's pretty easy to adjust by doing that and then just unlocking that, spin that up. And we can adjust the depth really nicely. Then you can lock it down, then you can spin this and even dial in the fine adjustment. So I'm not a huge fan of this mechanism. It does make it a little difficult to fine adjust. Once you have it set, you're fine. But if you're gonna be changing your settings all the time, I'd either recommend looking at some of the other brands that have a better fine adjustment, using the plunge base, which is my preferred way when I have to deal with fine adjustments, or getting a second one if you're really just swapping between two bits that you're using all the time. But yeah, let's take a look at this. Let's power it up and take a look. So before we do that, I need to put on my trusty safety glasses and hearing protection. Can never be too safe. And look at the 5 amp hour battery in here. So I choose the 5 amp hour generally. I have them lying around. So I have these, and I also have some 6 amp hour flex volts and then some 1.5 amp hour small batteries. So this is a nice balance. It is heavy, so but it's not lopsided. So it's pretty sturdy and easy to hold. So you can have one hand there, you can have one hand on top, you can hold it there. It's really not too bad. So it is a little different with the battery mounted at the top like that, but I haven't had any issues. So yeah, so let's get this kicked off, and we'll do a simple line, a simple edge treatment here, and then we'll talk about it. go. Take the battery out. You'll find that it's really not too loud, definitely not as loud as a large router. It gives a really nice edge, so this is a fairly basic bit from Freud, but I'm very happy with the finish here. I know you can't see it very well on the video, but there's no burning. Yeah, just genuinely happy. And if you've used a trim router before, it's exactly what you'd expect, but no battery really goes a long way. There are some dust collection add-ons that you can add on, but I usually find with some of the edge work that I do that you can either chase it with, so you either have, yeah, over here, like you kind of chase it with the shop vac. Dust collection on routers is always hit and miss. So yeah, let's take off the hearing protection and unlatch that. And we'll take this out. And we'll change over the bit. So we're gonna now take a look at the plunge base. And the plunge base is an accessory that I just got a few weeks ago and finally got around to unboxing and taking a look at. I used it once just to route this little hole just to test things out. And I have to say the mechanism on the plunge took a little while, just like a couple of minutes just to kind of get used to the feel and exactly how it works. It glides really nicely, but it just takes a little bit just to get used to it. But any plunge mechanism that I've used in the past has been like that. So before I put this in, I'm going to put a straight bit in here. So this is a downcut spiral bit, I believe, downcut or up. Can't remember. I don't have it labeled on the bit itself. The label's in the drawer. And let's get this locked in. And I'm going to release this all the way to the top. Slide the motor in. So just like the fixed base, it's got this nice little latch. I really like their latch mechanism. Very impressive and easy to use. Let's lock that in. And again, I'm going to rely on these to set the depth. So for me, so that touches it. And let's bring it to the edge of the board. So that's going to be a pretty big cut. So let's adjust this. Adjust it down a little bit. That's probably perfect. So this is actually going to take a pretty decent, probably close to 3/8 of an inch deep of a cut. We've got the bit in, we've got the depth set, we need to get the battery on, but first of all, hearing protection. And also just before I do this, just to show you the mechanism. So you hold this down, and it's very easy to just hold in your hand. And then as soon as you let go, it locks in spot. So you can plunge down to the depth that you want, lock it, and then slide it along. Really, really nice. And then if you want to release it, just simply push that and you're good to go. So I'm gonna turn this on and let's do a little cut. Okay, and I'm actually just going to turn it around so you can see this mechanism in play right here. So then let's turn it on. There we go. So let's take the battery off. It's always a little stiff on this router. There we go. Ear protection off. And yeah, so there we go. So let's take a look at these cuts. So really, if you're cutting either mortises for hinges or mortises for your joinery, this can work really, really well. So you're taking a look at the base on it. So again, it's acrylic, so you can see through a lot of the spots. It does have these little holes, so you can run rods through there. It also does have them over here as well. So And just like the way and just how compact this is, like you could imagine just putting like rails on the side if you really want to guide along it and get some super straight cuts. So I absolutely love this. For me, the plunge base is probably what's going to stay on it the majority of the time. It definitely makes the whole system a lot bigger, but it's also just fantastic to use. And probably until Festool comes out with a really good battery powered router, this is going to be my compact router of choice, and one that I can definitely highly recommend to others. So definitely take a look at the DCW600. And what's the plunge base? The plunge base is the DNP612 router plunge base type 1. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of this router. If you own it and you have some experience, share your tips and tricks. Or if you're evaluating compact routers right now, especially cordless compact routers, definitely share what you're thinking. I know the Milwaukee is supposed to be an absolutely amazing cordless router as well, but for me in the DeWalt battery system, this was a no-brainer. So hope everybody enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.